This is the Black TV Show podcast hosted by Miriam Temeskin. Welcome back. We are here with another episode, the Cosby Show Season 4, Episode 11, Dance Mania. And we have Shani back. How are you doing?
Woohoo! Hey y'all, I'm good. Been keeping really busy, but good overall.
Oh, that's good. I'm keeping my busy being unemployed for a while, just, to relax.
Right, we're on hiatus. We're not unemployed. We're
that's
break.
True. Yeah, that is true. That's true. On break, yes. Just trying to, as I said, catch up on shows as usual. I'm almost done season 1 of Atlanta. I forgot, what was the episode that you said that was your favorite?
BAN, they called it.
Oh, that's the next one I'm about to watch.
Yay! Okay, great, because you're gonna laugh.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna laugh. Actually, you should call me after you watch it because there are going to be plenty of laughs. I'm telling you.
Okay, I will keep an eye.
And they need more episodes like that.
Yeah, I'm waiting until next year for the season 3. And I apologize. I'm just gonna apologize. My voice is very weird today because I am sick. I don't have COVID, but just warning y'all. That's the reason why I sound really weird. So. But anyways, we're gonna get into this episode. This episode aired December 3rd, 1987. The synopsis is that Claire gives Theo a pair of tickets to the taping of a television dance show, and Cliff agrees to take lessons in new math from Vanessa. First of all, what is this new math? I don't recall learning this base method.
Not at all. I've never heard of it. But the term new math always seems to come around every year. Even I have memories of my middle school days where I want to say, what were we learning? I want to say we were learning two-step equations. And my teacher really just taught us a quicker way to solve the problem and a means to help us check our work. It wasn't just a way to speed through the problem. It was a way for us to not only solve the problem, but we could handle checks and balances within the problem at the same time. Well, I guess that is a way to get it done quickly. But his intention was to teach us about how to check our work effectively. And I remember my mom saying, like, this must be this new math. Because she kept saying, like, your teacher is teaching you tricks and all I know is the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I'm like, come on now, we can't be this dense. Like, please don't do this. But I don't know what this base method is that Vanessa was talking about. I legitimately tried to pay closer attention to see if it was something that I was able to understand or figure out what she was doing. I think she might have been working on factor trees, which if my memory serves me correctly, I want to say, like, you take a number and it's almost like you dissect that number. So, like, I guess if we use the number 46, I think the factor tree would either you would break down what times what equals 46, or what's a good way that I can put it? You know how you reduce fractions?
Yes.
Kind of like that. Or no, not reduce fractions. When you're doing long division and you see how much which one is the dividend and which one is the quotient? I want to say the quotient is the one on the outside of the line. I guess when you're deciding how many times the quotient goes into the dividend,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the express way of doing that. I don't fully remember, and so now when I go into work, I have to do some talking with some coworkers.
So I'm looking at factor tree on Google, and it says factor trees are a way of expressing the factors of the number. And there's an example of 48 where it's divided like separate by 8 and 6, because I guess 8 times 6 is
Because 8 times 6 is 48.
And then from 8 it goes down to 4 and 2, and then from 4 it goes to 2, and then the
Yes.
6 is
Okay.
2 and 3. But is it the same thing? I don't know. Is it the same thing that they're talking about?
I don't know. Is it possible that you can look up like the base method? I don't know because
I think I tried that and it didn't really. It just said base of like
I guess you would
of
need to know what the base is. Like we would probably need to know what math she's doing because roughly what grade is she in around this time?
she
She's
has to be
87.
at least she has to be in junior high. She's not in high school though,
She's not in high. Oh Lord,
so she might be in
that
grade
could
8.
be anything.
She might be in
That could
grade
be
8.
pre-algebra. That could be. See, it really helped. No, I was just about to say it really helps if we were to have the actors on the show, but no, it wouldn't because these aren't
They wouldn't
actually
know.
them. These are
Yeah,
characters,
yeah,
and they would probably be just as confused.
same. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if this is literally a thing that they learned in the 80s. I don't know.
I think the base method was probably something that was very prevalent back then, but this is probably also something that they didn't expect for us to pay attention to.
True. Yeah. But I guess anyways, let's move on. So basically we start off with the whole measurement stuff. And that's where the whole base method conversation comes up, where his method of carrying the two is old math. Although that's what I do, so I don't know what they're what
Exactly.
I don't know what Vanessa is talking about.
That's what I said. Like, listen, my boss has a statement that stuck with me for a few years now. He says, when you veer from the process, things go wrong. And the way that they're doing this math is very much veering from the process.
Yeah.
And then the whole house seems to understand this math except for Cliff.
Yeah. So yeah, so then they do a whole competition to see whose method is faster, and then we find out Vanessa's method was faster. Um, yeah. And oh yeah, and this is for them they're measuring out to, I guess he's getting a new bookshelf in his office, so that's the whole reason why we're even talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so then we cut to Claire coming into the house. She just, I guess, got her hair done by her hairdresser or
Mm-hmm.
stylist. And so apparently her hairstylist does hair on Dance Mania, or I think does hair for the producer of Dance Mania, if that's correct.
Yeah, somebody like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that she ends up getting these tickets to Dance Mania. I'm trying to think, like, what show in the 80s do you think this Dance Mania is supposed to copy? Because usually they copy something that happened
Um,
at the time.
the only thing I can think of is probably Soul Train.
Oh yeah, because it's
It
all dancing.
probably emulates Soul Train. But I feel like there was an actual show in the 80s separate from Soul Train.
Was it the American Bandstand?
American Bandstand, I want to go out on the limb and say that they were more 70s. They could have
Oh, okay.
gone into the 80s, but it does kind of seem like if American Bandstand and Soul Train had a baby, especially because from what I know about Soul Train and when Soul Train was in Chicago, there were plenty of people who wanted to get on the show. My parents have talked about being teenagers and either, well, mainly my dad. My mom, she probably knew about it, but she didn't do it. But my dad had memories of he and other classmates like cutting school and going down to the studio so that they could be a part of the dance crew, and like if you missed it at lunchtime, then you were able to come after school, or they would tell you what days to come and what times so that you could be guaranteed a spot. Um, but yeah, those are the only two
Yeah,
shows that I
so
can think of, because I think American Bandstand even then was a talent show more than it was the type of show that Soul Train was.
yeah, you're right. The show started in the 50s, but it continued on to the
Ooh,
end of 80s. So it was
wow.
30 seasons, 30 something, 37 seasons.
I didn't know it
Crazy.
was that deep.
I
Wow.
know. You don't hear about 37 seasons anymore on a lot of shows.
No, you do not. And shout out to HBO Max for the things that they have on there. So I've done some exploring, and when I saw that they basically had every season of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, which for those who don't know of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, it's really, they're really the parent company of the Merry Melodies cartoons, which includes like the Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, um, what is his name? Al, not A-L, but O-W-L Jolson. He's a bird that does the song I Like to Sing. Um, so those old time, old school cartoons, they started at least in the 30s. And so HBO Max has everything from the 30s to now.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, these shows really do not have any longevity anymore.
Yeah.
These shows are lucky to get picked up for a second or third season.
Yeah.
And then what hurts me the most is when you get really hooked on the show and then they don't get renewed for another season. Like I
Mhm.
still haven't forgiven whoever did not pick Lovecraft Country back up. Like,
Yeah.
you don't just cut off a show that got 18 Emmy nominations. You just don't.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. Um, but
That show has potential.
what's crazy is because I've never seen the show, but I know that what's his name, Michael K. Williams is in it, right?
Yes, rest in
So,
peace.
so maybe somehow they were like, I don't know if they just were psychic to know what was gonna happen in the future. I don't know.
Man, I really feel like they could have rolled out a second season. He could have probably have recorded at least 1 to 3 episodes
Mhm.
by now. Um, and if they went in that direction, it would have hurt even more, because now it's like when we lost Chad. So now it's like, what do we do with Black Panther? What do we do with Black Panther?
Yeah,
Well, I know what we do with Black Panther.
yeah,
Because according to the comics, Shuri becomes Black Panther. But still, it's Chad, and Chad's gone. Like, this
yeah,
feels weird to do. So also, I just recently learned that they have to put a pause on filming for
yeah.
Black Panther 2 because Letitia hurt herself.
I know.
Get
It
better,
must.
Shuri.
I don't know. It must have been a really bad injury.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you got to delay it into 2022? Good Lord.
I know. So, anyways, so Claire has the tickets from her hair stylist and gives it to Theo, and Theo like freaks out. He's like, "Oh my god, are these 2 tickets to Dance Mania?" Like he like freaks out. Like and
And
then
she
he
like, okay, boy, it's a dance show.
yeah, and like he picks her up too, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I would be scared too." Like randomly, like out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's gonna give the second ticket to Cockroach because that's his best friend, and I would do that. I would take my best friend to the show.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm calling my best friend. We're going on TV. Get dressed.
Hmm.
It's happened before,
Oh, really?
actually. Yeah. My friend Kendall, I don't remember how this happened, but Steve Harvey would film his TV show in Chicago.
Oh,
And I don't remember how she came up on tickets, but she called me immediately and was like, what are you doing in like 2 hours? I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna be home. Like, what's wrong? Like, you want me to come over? She was like, we're going on the Steve Harvey show. And I was like, in 2 hours? She was like, yes, you whatever you're doing, drop what you're doing, get dressed now. What? Okay, bet. And it was a fun experience. We I got to see actually how studio audience shows operate because I was never able to see the Oprah show.
Oh,
And I'm still a little hurt over that.
yeah.
But I had never seen for myself how they operate as far as the flow
Yeah.
of a live show. To my knowledge, for all I knew, you guys sat there, you all talked about whatever it was, you were in and out. Absolutely not.
Mhm.
It was a fun experience, but very very memorable. Something I won't forget
And it
for
wasn't
sure.
it wasn't just her. It was both of you, right? They didn't just
Oh
pick
no,
one person.
right, absolutely no. It was the both of us. We sat right next to each other, and we were entertaining the crowd.
Oh, I didn't realize Steve Harvey did his show in Chicago. Why would he do it in Chicago? He lives in LA.
You know, that was. I think we asked the same question. Now, what I can say is, so he was a host of. We have a radio station, 106.3 or Soul 106.3.
Yeah.
And it plays today's R&B and old school, but more heavily on the old school. Maybe some songs from like the 90s, maybe a few early 2000s. You might get a few of today's songs, but for the most part, you're hearing everything from like the 60s to the 80s. And he hosted a show, the Steve Harvey Morning Show. And he still has this show. He has his co-host, Shirley Strawberry, Nephew Tommy, Carla Farrell, and I want to say there's one more person that I'm missing, and I totally apologize. But then they moved from Soul 106.3 to V103, or the radio dial is 102.7, which plays equally the same amount of music, but they have a balance. Yes, you're going to hear the majority of 50s to 90s, but they still maintain a balance of playing today's music. You might hear the same song over and over again, but they still maintain the balance. And there was a radio host by the name of Tom Joyner, and he worked alongside Sybil Wilkes, J. Anthony Brown, and her name Myra J. They were, for all of my life, they had a morning show on 102.7. But then they went over to Soul 106.3. So it was like a flip flop. And for the longest, we kind of felt like it was something shady going on. But we just found out that it was within the contract. Like, contract was up. And so they're like, look, I'm not leaving my career. Oh, y'all hiring? Okay, let's all go there. And then let's just flip. So how did I get here?
Oh, I said that, like, why is his show in Chicago and not in LA?
That's why. Right. So I want to say that it stemmed from him being on the radio show.
I see.
And he might have made a mention like, I wanted to do my own show. Or I think he might have tried it out in LA. He might have studios both in Chicago and in LA.
Oh, okay.
And he might flip-flop back and forth, because I know he's not always in that radio studio.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times he's at home and he's on the computer.
Oh, I see.
In LA.
Yeah.
So there's not really a way for us to be able to know whether he's here or not unless you see him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that still is a good question though. Why here?
But anyways, so because they're gonna be on Dance Mania, they think that they're gonna be like famous after the show, just because they're just gonna dance in a show. I know, like for me, I think in my mindset, I've been to I think I mentioned I've been to Jay Leno, the Tonight Show with Jay Leno before Jimmy Fallon came in and took over the show, and I've been on Dr. Oz. I thought I was gonna get my 5 minutes of shame. I was gonna say shame. 5 minutes of fame by sitting in the audience. No, I did not, because especially the Dr. Oz part, they cut the part off where I shaked his hand. So yeah, because it was when Joan Rivers died, and so then they cut part of our segment of our show and used a different segment of, like, it was weird, but yeah. I think I was seen in Good Morning America. I don't know. I just know that I talked to Robert. Well, I didn't talk to her, but I took a photo with Robert Roberts, or Robin Rob. I'm saying her name wrong, but and then also whoever was the star that was there for an interview. But yeah, but no, I did not get that. Fame. I didn't become famous from that. So I don't know why they think they're gonna be famous from just being on this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, back then it was simpler times, and it was so easy to get a hold of anything. Like, if you wanted a record deal, all you had to do was stand outside and sing. If you wanted to be a model, all you had to do was dress nice and show up somewhere. So, like, I think in their minds, they're like, if I get on Dance Mania and I get on that front camera, it's a wrap. Especially since they had this love over Tina. And Tina was the star of the show. And I think that's really all they cared about. I don't think they really cared about the fame per se. I think their mindset was, I get on this show, I get with Tina, people see me with Tina, and that's what's going to make me famous.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's just, if I'm accurately thinking, or if I'm accurately explaining how the male teenage mind works. But I'm also not nobody's mama, so don't quote me on that.
So later on, they end up calling a bunch of girls, saying, I'm going to be on Dance Mania, and Cockroach ends up talking to Cynthia. I think that's what I'm saying her name wrong, but
Cynthia,
yeah, and he's giving her the option to date him before he becomes famous, and like she basically hanged up on him. He's like,
no. And I would have too, because why are you on my phone?
Yeah,
we don't talk regularly, and the fact that I hung up in your face the way that I did lets me know I don't talk to you in person. Don't come to me talking about you about to be. No, call me when the deed is done.
When you are famous.
Okay, because what good does it do me now that you're almost famous? Like, bro, please.
And so then we get to see Theo and Cockroach practice their dance routine, and Rudy actually comes and tries to learn some parts of it. It looked really cute though. And then we cut to back in the Cliff's office, where Claire talks to Cliff and realize that Cliff is trying to figure out this whole base method that we all don't know what the heck is going on. But Claire points out that she learned it when Denise was studying this in school. So basically, as you said, everyone in the house except for Cliff already knows what the base method is. And and Claire suggests to Vanessa, because Vanessa comes in, I think she brings a drink for Cliff, and suggests that Vanessa teaches Cliff about the new math. And at first she's like no one can teach him. He's very stubborn, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes. And I felt her, because that's normally my reaction when I am asked or tasked with teaching a boomer about social media or anything technology. Um, I love my family, but sometimes when when you try to teach them about technology, um, it takes a great deal of patience, and sometimes people get to the point where it's like, well, can you just do it for me? And it's like, that defeats the purpose of me teaching you because I'm not always going to be around. So I need for you to learn this so that you could be self-sufficient. Um, yeah. So I totally felt Vanessa, especially when you deal with somebody who, one, already has it in their mind that they're right, and two, um, easily gives up. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like my students do that. And I tell them every time, stop giving up so easily. You're better off asking for help than you are just giving up.
For sure.
Like stuff is not hard or boring just because you can't get it. You just can't get it. And uh rather you not take responsibility for the fact that you are having a hard time. It's almost like you're going in the cookie jar to get cookies and you blaming the cookies for being so good. Can't do that.
Yeah. And so now we cut to it's Saturday for the taping of Dance Mania, and we're in the green room, and they're going through like, oh my god, this is crazy. We're in the green room. Oh, and like Theo was about to dive into food, and Cockroach was like, don't, because it won't look good when we're dancing. And
Right.
then all of a sudden the stage manager calls and says that we're about to start taping, and he only picks a few people. He doesn't pick everyone else, and he basically says, you guys have to go home. And like Theo and Cockroach were like, no, look at our outfits. We're ready for the show. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently there's a whole fire rule that the reason why they can't put everyone in there is because
Yeah,
blanket.
it's there's so for enclosed buildings there are fire hazards. And there's always a sign posted that says like the amount of persons that are allowed within this space without it being a fire hazard. So when you go over that, um, even though a fire may not break out, um, you are still putting the building at risk. And there are fines that go with that. So the people at Dance Mania would have been coming out of pocket, paying the fire marshal upwards of $1,000, depending on how many people they had over the limit. So yeah, and there's an episode, actually on a different world, where Whitley and Ron throw a get together and they get fined $1,000
Yeah.
because they went over the maximum person's allotment. And yeah, I can only imagine how
And
hard their pockets were hit.
yeah, and so then we find out that there's only room for one more dancer. And so I think in this whole situation, because we come back to it at the end of the episode, I think it is Theo's fault that he didn't go on to dance, because
Absolutely.
he like, it's okay. Like, I understand, like, at the first go around you're like, oh, you should go in. It's and like, I think Theo just took it too far. Like, he was expecting to the third round, and I'm like, okay, well, you can't be there all day long deciding who's, you know what I mean? Like,
So so yeah. Theo is one of the people who has a kind heart and the heart is very big. And I think he was just worried about how he would look by not allowing for Cockroach to be on the show. It's It's like you have you ever offered your food to someone but secretly hoping that they don't accept it?
All the time.
You know, and when they accept it, now it's like, well, I can't take this back because I offered it. So I think that's where Theo kind of fell by the wayside. However, there were things to consider, Theodore Aloysius. Your mother got the tickets and handed them to you. Now, the stage manager or whoever it was they talked to beforehand was bogus for not telling them, hey, this is not a guarantee what I'm telling you. I'm just giving you pointers for how you could get your foot in the door. So the fact that they took it to heart, it just felt like they were set up for heartbreak. But Theo, your mother bought those tickets and gave them to you. You all had a back and forth. You should go. No, you should go. No, you should go. No, you should go. And I want to say that Cockroach even said, they were your tickets, Theo. You should go.
Yeah.
And he says, but no, you're my best friend. You should go.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has always taught me that if your mind and your heart don't agree, then you can't be at peace.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would have opted to either do the show myself or we both leave.
Yeah.
And just hold on to the tickets for memorabilia. I mean, we could have told plenty of lies with these tickets. We could have said, hey, we, even though we weren't on TV, we got to sit and eat donuts with Tina, or we got to be behind the cameras, or we got to take a tour of the place. Like something would have been put out there for you to know that me and Dance Mania were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where the communication comes in, though.
Yeah. And so, Cockroach goes and he goes and dances with Tina, and Theo gets to watch this on the monitors. And you just could see in Theo's face that he's just not happy about the whole situation. And because literally, it looked like Cockroach was about to grind on to Tina like it was a full-on show. And so we end the taping there, and it's Monday and we're at school, and everyone's excited to watch Dance Mania tonight, and they start this is like the first time we're seeing a lot of Theo's friends for the first time. Just so you know, this is Adam Sandler's acting debut. He's never done acting on any other thing but this. This is where he started his career. Which is weird.
I see you, Adam.
Which is kind of weird, right? I don't know. It's so weird to
but like and we've mentioned in previous shows that like virtually everybody came through this show.
Yeah.
I did not know that this was his debut. I just thought that this was something that he was going on just to put himself out there. I thought he had already debuted by this time.
Nope. This was
we see him. We see is Denny part of this episode?
Yeah, so Troy, that's his real name.
Yeah, that was like I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah.
And he's related to somebody that's famous too that I can't think of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has a famous sister, I want to say, because I looked it up a while back. What is his last name? Some with an L, I think. No, Troy Winston, right?
It's what is it? Winbush?
Winbush. That's what it is. Camille Winbush. That's his sister. She plays Vanessa on the Bernie Mac show.
Oh, Camille. Oh yeah, I see it. I didn't know that they were siblings. Oh my god, they do not look.
I happened to look him up because he's one of those people where you just recognize the face, and he's on everything. Like he was on the Parkers.
Yes. He's done Soul Food, Girlfriends. Like he's done like one episode on a lot of these
Right,
shows.
Girlfriends too. That's where I saw him. And I'm
Also,
like, who is this dude?
he's also done the Black Lady sketch show. That's the more recent stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Scandal, House of Pain, and what's crazy, because I'm a huge fan of House of Pain, the original, not really much of the new one, but the two episodes that he comes in for, he is I forgot. I don't think he rapes Keisha, but I think he like is like he comes on to like Keisha Knight Pulliam. So it's like weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Cosby Show comes on to House of Pain because he's now he wants, I think, I can't remember if he's like trying to murder her or rape her, one of the two. But like,
wow.
yeah, so it's weird
Okay, Tyler.
yeah, it's very weird. Like, wow, he does not look like his sister though. Like,
no, he doesn't. Like, I think probably the most resembling thing between them might be like their cheeks, maybe their smiles. I don't know, but like I happened to look him up and I was like, wow. Okay then. Didn't know y'all were related.
yeah.
That's yeah, especially because I want to say she's from here.
Who's from here?
Is she from here?
Who?
No, she might not be. I was going to say Camille. I believe she is from Chicago, but I think I'm wrong on that.
Well, on Wikipedia it says she was born in California, but I don't know where
okay,
she
so
lived.
yeah.
What?
Last I knew though, she had an ice cream shop. Not sure if that's still in business, but
Wow,
I know in California she had an ice cream shop.
there's literally a 20-year difference between them. They must have like different parents.
Oh, they do?
I don't know. 20 years, that's a big difference.
Yeah, okay.
In age.
So that would make sense though.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's I'm making up rumors here, but yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, Troy Winbush. If you come across this, join us. Let's talk. Because we can talk about some other characters. We can also talk about how Troy Bayer played his girlfriend Ellen later on in season 5, 6, 7. Whichever episode was it that they were playing
I think it was
Denny's
season
birthday.
7. Yeah.
Yeah, Troy Bayer, who ended up playing Monica on A Different World, who is her stepmom. Her stepmom.
What?
Whitley's stepmom.
What? Whoa! I did not know that.
Yeah. So season 1.
They look like two different people.
Yeah.
Season
1.
Oh my God! I gotta rewatch
Christmas.
Yeah, it's a
season 1 Christmas episode. Yeah. Where Whitley's dad comes to visit, and they were about to go to Switzerland. And Dwayne is like, Mr. Judge Gilbert, I have to tell you that your daughters are both beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, this ain't my sister. Who's this? And he's like, oh, Whitley, this is Monica. Troy Bayer was Monica. And later in life, she went to write and direct Love Don't Cost a Thing with
and
Nick
that's on
Cannon
Netflix.
and Christina Milian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did not know that. Wow. You're the one who's giving me all the facts here. Like, I did not know this.
It's really fun. Like, once you start learning stuff, it's like, ooh, I know something you don't know.
Yeah. And so anyways, we're back to the Friends group. So we see Adam Sandler. I don't know what. Oh yeah, he's Smitty. That's what his name is. And then we also see Troy, who's Danny. Is that what it? Danny. Danny. Yes. And then a bunch of other people that we will never see ever again.
Lyle, the dude that Vanessa ends up going out with.
Yeah, I don't think he's there in this episode.
He's not? Oh, okay.
No.
I don't know. Probably not.
No. But what I was gonna say, also another fun fact, this is gonna be the last episode of Carl Anthony Payne. You'll know.
Really?
So I think so now Denny's gonna probably now substitute for him, basically.
Okay, that makes sense because I mean, as you should, when you grow up, you gain more friends, and like your friends kind of cycle over.
Yeah.
And so it becomes that Denny is Theo's best friend.
Yeah.
And then somehow they acquire Howard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
So, and so basically they're asking them like, how was Dance Mania? And then they find out that Theo isn't going to the show, but Cockroach did. And, Cockroach says, yeah, I was dancing with Tina, like, basically
Mm-hmm.
making himself look good, basically, but he's also
Mm-hmm.
at the same time says, I give props to Theo for letting me go on the show when he was the who had the tickets to begin with, which is great for him to say as a friend. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. Because if he didn't say it, then we would have had problems and I would have had to run you a fade. But you recognize the fact that I did it. So, Theo really could have ended his salty feeling then and there. So it
yeah.
just lets me know that he just wanted to be salty and he just wanted to be mad, and I need him to grow up.
Yeah, so and he was still mad, but at that point, the group of guys, and I guess that one woman, was like, that's great, but all they care about was Tina. They're like, oh my god, how was it dancing with Tina? It was that literally was on their mindset the whole time, and as we mentioned, Theo looked mad during the whole conversation. And then we cut to Cliff's office again, where he's doing a math test. Who does a math test in their adulthood? I don't know who, but I guess Cliff does. And
Because you're not going to catch me doing it.
yeah, and well, actually, I love math. Let's be honest. Math is it was probably my favorite subject in school. Like I did grade 12 math in grade 11. And then I did calculus in grade 12.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. So I loved math. So I don't mind doing it. Like if it's if we're doing adding, subtracting, multiplication, dividing, I could do all that. But it's just weird to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Rudy's the timekeeper, and like the time is up, and Cliff didn't even finish the test. He only got 7 out of 10 right, which is apparently a C minus, which is
Yes.
average. And Cliff was like, or Vanessa was like, you don't want to be average, so they're gonna let him take the test again, but without timing it. And so they leave him alone. And we go to the living room, and Theo is watching a Western. Who watches a Western? That's my question.
I don't know many people now who would watch a Western. I can literally count maybe on one hand. I have 3 uncles at minimum who would watch a Western. And then, oh, wait. What's this new one that just came out on Netflix? The Harder They Fall.
Yeah.
I hear that's a Western.
Yeah, that is actually. Which to me,
so
I haven't heard. I have never seen like a black Western. That's so weird. I don't know if that's
like a Western with black people.
Yeah, there's probably other movies. This is the first one I've like heard of it. It seems like.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not going to say that there aren't any, but I myself have not seen it.
Yeah.
Either. The Westerns that I've watched like Columbo and don't give me the line. I can't name all these people. I just knew what Columbo was because I used to watch this station as a kid called MeTV, which is Memorable Entertainment Television. And they played everything that was in black and white, and then shows that were coming into color. So like a lot of shows I was watching was like The Brady Bunch, I Dream of Jeannie, I Love Lucy, or each of the Lucy shows, because she had about 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
But Columbo was one of the shows that was on there. And whatever show that kind of seemed like the predecessor to Walker, Texas Ranger, I watched that too. But yeah, I don't know anybody who can and will sit up and say, hey, I want to watch a Western. And I also thought that I could even get into watching them. I cannot. I tried watching them on Tubi one day, and I really watched it just to see if I would feel the same excitement that the men I know who will watch Westerns, like my uncles will sit up, and I have one uncle, he'll pop popcorn and might have some coffee or something, and will sit up and is like a child watching Cocomelon or something. I do not share the same sentiment. Maybe I need to keep giving it some more tries, but it has not been successful for me as of yet. So I don't think I think if anybody were to be interested in Westerns, it could be Gen Y. Or no. Yeah, Gen Y, because Gen Z is not gonna, they're not gonna care.
Yeah.
Gen Y is probably gonna be like, oh, all right. And that's a very big if, because Gen Y, they stay with the times.
Yeah.
And ain't no Westerns in these times. So that's a big question mark.
Yeah. And so now Vanessa and Rudy want to come and watch Dance Mania and basically end Theo's time of watching this Western movie. And you know, like Rudy's like, can you just change the channel? And he's like, no, I want to watch a Western. Like, I don't want to change this channel. You guys go upstairs and watch in the small TV upstairs. And they're like, no, we want to watch it down here, and like as a family. And because it's weird, because it's like Theo's the only one that wants to watch this Western, so then he should be the one going upstairs to watch it, not the other way. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Yeah, like we're all watching the same program. So if you don't want to watch the program,
yeah,
then you have another source of television. Like,
yeah. And we get to the point where Theo ends up falling over Rudy's toy, and then he gets so mad that he ends up throwing it down the street, and like a car accident. It sounded like a car accident to me.
yeah,
like,
car. I'm imagining that it was thrown out in the middle of, like,
traffic.
while the car was driving down the street.
Yeah.
So it happened so fast that the car couldn't recognize what it was. But I think what ultimately happened was that the car rolled over it.
Oh, I see. Because I was gonna say, if they got in an accident, they should be coming to the house, talking to the person that threw the toy. You know what I mean? Like, so no one actually came to the house. So that was weird.
Yeah, but I can't really, like, if it were me and I stepped over Rudy's phone, I wouldn't have thrown it outside, but it would have got thrown or kicked or something, and that would have been whether I was mad or otherwise. Like, if I'm preparing to watch this TV and I come down the stairs and I trip over your phone, little girl, you and this phone are gonna be hanging off the same string if you keep playing with me. Or like, why is your phone out here? Go take it back to your room. Something. But Theo was really crying out for help in his execution of things, because he knew that he didn't have to go to the extreme of throwing it outside of the door. I think if it were me, if I had gotten to the point of throwing that outside of the door, I for sure would have been in trouble. Yeah. Somebody would have been yelling at me. Somebody would have been cussing at me, like, have you lost your mind? Why would you do that? Whatever. And it would have made perfectly sense. It would have made perfectly good sense for me to have thrown the phone.
Yeah.
Like, if I were Theo, I'm throwing this phone outside to further prevent me having to trip over this phone. Because also, clearly, this probably is not my first time tripping over the phone.
Most likely, yeah, because he's like, stop laying all your toys around for us to trip. So I think it has happened multiple times before.
Yep. So it had to be made an example out of, you know.
And so then, like, Rudy is like upset about it, and so she brings Clair involved with this. And you know, you can just see how mad Theo is. He's like, you know, why would they leave her toy? Like, why would she leave her toys here? And I'm trying to watch a Western, like, and they're trying to watch the Dance Mania. And then Cliff comes in and be like, I'm trying to write a math test, like, or take a math test. So like they're just like all upset with Theo. And finally, the family decides to watch Dance Mania, and Theo's just not happy about it. And he brings the toy back into the house, which is destroyed, basically. And Theo's just, really mad about it. And so he like basically hits the door to the kitchen. And Claire and Cliff were like, okay, there's something wrong. And so Claire decides.
And Cliff was about to go.
Yeah.
Cliff was about to snatch him up. And Claire was like, no, I got it. Calm down.
Yeah. And so Claire goes in and basically like she's trying to figure out like, what are you upset about? Like, because the thing is like, he's mad at the family, but is the family the reason why he's mad? So she's trying to, as a lawyer, she's basically asking those questions like, who are you mad at? And she technically already knew the answer. It's basically she's mad that Cockroach got to be in Dance Mania and he didn't, and she's trying to figure out why that happened. And she's the one who explains, saying like, you shouldn't have played that game of who, like, you go first kind of thing, you should have said no. Tina is my woman, and I'm gonna get onto the show no matter what, basically.
She said, no, my love, you made that decision.
Yeah, I love that.
Tell him, Mom. Tell him. Because you know how people get upset and then they look for people to like be on their side. And then when you're not on their side, they got an issue.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to talk to you later because you were supposed to be on my side and you're not. I imagine that's how Theo was feeling. And I feel like Theo knew all along.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he knew, even in the moment when he said yes and when he watched Cockroach get on TV. I think from then he was just like, so I'm the nice guy and this is what I get. But not realizing that literally all of your actions are the reason why you are here right now. Also, I would like to applaud Claire for her approach to him, because that would not have been my mom's approach. My mom would have been, so you slamming doors in my house? Who house do you think you're tearing up? So you think you're gonna just sit up here and be mad? You go upstairs to your room. Like, it would not have been the smooth transition. Like, all of that would have came later. My mom definitely would have taken the approach of Cliff, the one that he was taking when Claire had to stop him. Because had Claire not stopped him, he would have been up in that kitchen and it probably would have been a fight or something to pop off. And my mom definitely would have been like, oh girl, you lost your mind. So yes, shout out to Claire. Because also it kind of makes me reflect on like how I do my job and how every day I encounter something crazy with my kids, but I can't just pop off right away. If I pop off, it's because every other method of calm is not working. So I got to pop off for you to see that I'm serious, and then I still bring it back down. And that is a never-ending process. And actually, with my co-teacher that I have in the classroom, she has kids and I don't. And so I'm noticing little things, like the way that she's able to handle certain situations with the kids versus the way that I'm able to handle them. They're handled differently sometimes. And it's because, her parent, the parent side of her shines bright. And whatever she can handle, I can't, and vice versa. And mainly it's because she's a parent and I'm not. And it's like, wow. Sometimes I find myself saying, I would have never handled it that way. Or like, yeah, you better than me, because it wouldn't have been me. And sometimes I find myself questioning her, like, so what did you see that I didn't? Or how are you able to approach this so calmly? Like, because sometimes when I do go 0 to 100, sometimes I have a moment of, well, did you really have to do that? But other times when I've gone 0 to 100 and then she's 0, I'm like, well, maybe I'm doing too much. Like, well, teach me thy way because I am confusion. So I totally feel the pain. But yes, thank you, Claire, for doing that because it definitely would not have been me. But I'm glad that Theo learned his lesson, especially through the talking to that Claire gave him, because this was by your actions.
Yeah.
Every action has a reaction. Your action was to tell him, yes, go on the show. And the reaction was he got on the show and everybody got the fame that you guys wanted together.
Yeah.
So.
And Claire mentions like, don't ever expect something in return when offering something, which is such a, it like, especially like when I think of like when you like when someone asks to borrow money, I just assume at that point it's not I am giving them money. Like it'll be great if I get something back, but I'm just expecting that I am giving them money and not getting it back. You know what I mean? When it comes to those kind of things.
Absolutely. But also, if you do something out the kindness of your heart, you know, you don't get to expect payment out of someone, or you know, don't make it more than what it is.
Yeah.
Because kindness of your heart is not something that was asked of you. Cockroach didn't say, "Hey Theo, can I go instead of you?"
Yeah.
It was, "You should go.
Yeah.
These are your tickets."
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it sucks how it worked out because, of course, in a perfect world, you know, if you could have just squeezed in one more person.
Yeah. This whole thing would not have been an issue.
And if I was the stage manager, well, I can't go on record by saying that I probably would have squeezed them in because there's no telling what kind of trouble I could have been in.
Yeah.
You know, because behind the scenes, there's somebody out there that's counting to make sure that there's X amount of kids on this dance floor that's supposed to be. And I'm sure that there's somebody who can say, oh, we are over one kid. What's going on? Commercial break.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to bending the rules by just one kid, you know.
Yeah.
Or I probably would have said something like, hey, look, stay out of the way of the camera, stay in the dark.
Yeah.
But have a good time.
Yeah.
Or, hey, stand at this door. You can watch from this door. Do not walk on set. Have fun. I'll have Tina walk over to you and say hi.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. And so Claire goes back to the living room, and Sophia follows. And basically, he ends up watching Dance Mania with the family, and kind of apologizing to everyone, but in a non-verbal, cute kind of way. Yeah. And we end that episode
just like
right
some
there.
Black people.
Huh?
Just like some Black people. You get whooped, and then all of a sudden, you hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's supposed to be an apology.
Yeah. And we end the episode right there. And as I said, this is the last episode of Carl Payne as Cockroach, which is pretty sad because, you know, we've seen him, like, I think now it's all 4 seasons he's been in, right? I think he came in season 1.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, so he's no longer on the show. As I said, there is a rumor the reason why he didn't continue on is because I think Bill Cosby just wanted him to cut his hair and he wouldn't cut his hair. But I don't know if that's so true. We're just making up rumors. And so there's a whole bunch of actors that was on this episode, but I feel like there's no point of saying their names because they literally did one other acting credit or they didn't do any acting afterwards. But I want to mention that Adam Sandler, this is his debut as Smitty, and Troy Winbush is as Denny, and he's done so many acting roles ever since.
Am I mistaken, or you remember the episode we talked about with the doctor who made rounds with Cliff, and he was mistaken for Denise's date.
Yes, I remember that episode. Yeah.
Did he play a friend of Theo's?
Not in this episode, but
no. Okay.
I don't know if he. I don't know if he did. I don't know. Is he one of those repeating actors?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that he comes back for the birth episode though, because as a doctor though, not as a like he was a resident in that episode that we talked about, but he comes back for the birth episode of Sandra, and he's
Sandra's twins,
and he's he's the main
I don't know
doctor.
who I'm thinking of there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think the lesson is basically do what you want to do. Like, don't let anyone stop you from like. I don't know how to explain, but basically, like, don't just assume that what you're thinking is what other people are thinking in a way, because like
say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah, basically that's it. I think
let your yes be your yes and your no be your no.
Yes. Yeah, because just I feel like I would have been in this situation with a friend and be like, play that game of you go, and then I would probably been the one that lost the opportunity. So I feel like for me nowadays, I'm pretty honest. I'm like, if I want something, I want something. Like, because I grew up in a culture where you gotta constantly be giving. Like, you gotta when someone comes to your house, you gotta make sure that you feed them. Even if you didn't invite them over to your house, you still feed them.
Absolutely.
You got to go to all these events because that's how you support that person, or like, you know what I mean? You just like I feel like a lot of people's money goes away because you got to support all these people in your community and all that stuff. So I'm starting to learn that, you know, I don't need to go to every family event, or not family event, a community event. And I don't need to go to someone's house and expect them to feed me, like, you know, so it's like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And also this is something that needs to be learned, which is the friendship code.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and you have to establish what your friendship should look like.
Yeah.
Or what friendship looks like to you.
Yeah.
What works for you in the friendship, what doesn't work for you in the friendship. Because again, had it been me, the decision would have been that I'm doing it or we're not doing it at all.
Yeah.
And if we opt for not doing it at all, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We can leave here and go to Circus Burger for all I care.
Yeah.
But I just need to know, are we doing this or not?
Yeah.
You know, there was a moment, I had an opportunity to go to this club and to get in for free. There was some people who I could have rubbed elbows with. And I was there with my best friend and my boyfriend, and they were the girl that hooked this opportunity up. She told me, bring friends, you know, but then while I'm at the door, she's like, yeah, I'm only able to get one of y'all in. And she was kind of pushing for me to come in, but I'm like, I'm not doing that. And they were even willing. They were asking me like, okay, so what you gonna do? Like, you gonna stay? And they were even saying like, I mean, we can sit in the car, we can go get food, whatever. No, we cannot, because I didn't come to be here by myself. I didn't come for y'all to be looking real nice and then sitting in the car or going to get food. No. If one of us got a wasted outfit, we all got a wasted outfit. And we left and we went and got food and we watch movies on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that. No.
Yeah.
So certain things, I feel like you just know, or at least you learn them, and
yeah,
you know, doing your friends like that or doing people like that, period, is just, you just don't do.
Mm-hmm. So you've mentioned your situation. I want to hear from the listeners. Like, have you been in a situation where, you know, it was between you and a friend for an event or an activity, and your friend ended up going instead of you, let me know at Black TV Shows Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you again for coming on. How do people reach out to you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Damn Girl You Know Everybody. My Twitter is I Love Them 90s, and my TikTok is Shani Showbiz. Yeah, and y'all can let me know, personally or not, about your situations as well. And also let's talk about different TV shows that have these same issues, because right now Girlfriends is coming to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Also, do you remember the show Eve?
I know the show. I just never watched it because it was only was it like a season or two?
She probably had. I know for sure she had at least 2 seasons.
Okay.
She might have had 3, but there was an episode where she had a friend that was able to like get her into different stuff, and then like she invited her other friends to come with them, but like her other 2 friends couldn't come into the club with her, and so she opted to go in the club with this other friend and leave her other 2 friends behind.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a complete no for me. I was totally upset, and that just lets me know, like, girl code, friend code, all of that is important. Like, treat your friends right, because treat your friends right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, and I was curious, so I ended up looking. It looks like it was actually 3 seasons. So I gotta
okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I never
That's
watched
also
it.
on HBO Max.
Oh, is it? There is so much on HBO Max. It's like crazy. Like,
I love them for it, because where else is I going to find this stuff outside of YouTube?
I know. Or you just bootleg off of a website too. That's another option. But
facts.
I shouldn't encourage that because I am in the industry and I want to make money. But that is another option. But yeah,
absolutely.
Well, thank you again for coming on. As of course, you're going to be coming back at some point. But
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.